Hello everyone, Namaskar. Welcome to Cafe Rainy Days. I will begin with my humble request to please subscribe to the channel. Today we enter the world of sports development, athletes. We've read a lot of books, we've seen a lot of biopics about Mary Kom, P.T. Usha, Milkha Singh Saab. And what sort of strikes us is that the struggle is common with all these athletes. Maybe it's financial struggle, maybe it's nutrition struggle, maybe it's struggle with the right equipment. And that is where our guest Darshan Wagh and his organization Adopt steps in. They help transform the athlete's career. They help transform the athlete going from a school champion maybe to right till the national level. And so I'd like to straight away introduce you to Darshan Wagh. Hi Darshan, by way of introduction, quoting your quote, where you say, athletes are God sent, but nurtured here.
Nurturing is a process which can be applied in any field to grow and to prosper. For example, like athletes, there are other fields like arts, culture, academics, whatever it is. Everybody has to get an equal opportunity to basically shine and prove themselves. And whichever field it might be, it requires that hardships, which everybody does. Those hardships have a process and there's a team involved in that. Like, for example, there are teachers, mentors, there might be coaches, other technical people who might help the person to basically grow and prosper.
And where do you see Adopt's role in?
Adopt was started about a couple of years ago. I'll go back a bit. About 6 years ago, I was running a CSR initiative program for a company called Dorf Kettle Private Limited in Mumbai, and they had chosen about 6 athletes. Out of them, 4 were wrestlers and 2 were archery players, and they were all rural kids. And the company had an agenda that they will only support people from economically poor background, but passionate about their sport. I was a consultant there, and obviously I was in charge of the whole program, managing the whole program. So when we were going to those remote places in the villages and everywhere, I saw a lot of talent which was untouched, untapped, not identified at all. In spite of having so much talent and everything, there was a huge attrition rate, a lot of dropouts. There were only 2 problems faced by these athletes for dropouts were financial issues, that is resources. Second thing is girls used to get married. Then when the kids had a lot of passion to play, they played a lot, they practiced a lot, they did a lot of hard work, but the nutrition was not being supported. The families could not support nutrition. So there was a lot of injuries. And post-injuries, especially in rural areas, the sport is being dropped out. And the parents of the family insist them to work either in the farms or just get married, or look for a job either in the city or somewhere nearby near a taluka place. That was one reason I started Adopt, considering the past Olympic contingent. Considering this Olympics, it was a population of 130 plus crore people in India and a contingent of only 126 people going for Olympics. Not even one person for 1 crore. Out of 100, 1,000 people are being selected for a particular sport. The chances of people going to Olympics, playing on a national level, playing on an international level grows. For India, maximum medals are being brought by kids from rural background. Math is so simple that we should focus on the rural and tribal areas. These kids are have the physical ability to perform, and they have a very different temperament. Just tap them, identify them, and nurture them. It is but obvious they're going to show some results, not in sports, but become better human beings, be sustainable, and bring basically pride to the society and country.
So it's a more holistic approach. It's not just sports.
Exactly. Adopt Sports is just not about sports. Adopt Sports is about making the athlete and his or her family sustainable. So we give nutritional stipend for the athletes, so the family and the athlete are being supported. as well as the family starts supporting the sport, as well as there is a ripple effect in the community. That second important is the education part. We have a policy that if the athlete doesn't study academically or doesn't pass or go into the another class or next class, we stop the sponsorship. But we make sure that the athlete graduates. We also have a section called education for sports. In that section, we basically teach three aspects. That is, one is aspiration, second is confidence building, and third is decision making. These three aspects just are going to be so helpful for the athlete, just not for the sports, also after when he retires, with regards to his communication skills, with regards to his approach towards his life, towards his family, towards his job. After he being graduate, if he's adopted or got a job in some government job like the railways, income tax, army, or whatever it is. The other part of adopt, which is the most important part, the whole process starts from a district or a school level. So a district, state, zonal, interzonal, then nationals, and then international. Our system, unfortunately, does not help for athletes from district level to national level. This journey, which is the most important journey for the athlete to prove himself and get to a next level, it only has to be supported by the parents. If the parents from the rural or tribal area cannot just have sustainable food on daily basis, it is impossible for the athletes to perform in sport.
I just didn't realize how much those little gifts that the athletes get when they win a competition, or even those few rupees, come in handy for the family. Their finances and their food depends on what the athlete is.
Considering the genetic factor and the hardships which they take and the mentality and the whole psyche is if we are going to basically tap and identify people from rural and tribal areas, we should invest, make sure that we sustain their sport as well as bring them up on the international and national level and give them an equal opportunity. Winning and losing is the last thing to think about. We are only thinking about the process which they are going to go through, which is going to make them prosper, which is going to make them perform better and get them an equal opportunity.
We have a very good friend. Yeah. He had a puja, and the priest said, "Go and do namaskar to gods." And he went and said, "My God is Sachin Tendulkar." So he went and joined his hands to Sachin Tendulkar's photograph and came back for the puja. But that process of starting at school and then becoming that big successful athlete is a long one. So what sort of supports do lay people like me miss?
If you want to make an engineer, what is the process? Not the process of the kid, but the process, the attitude, or the mentality of the parents. The parents can sacrifice anything and everything for their son or daughter to make it happen. But if you come to know that my kid is good in sports, is that kind of effort taken by the parents and the family? Yes, we want to make this kid a runner, a cricketer, a badminton player, a tennis player, a runner, an archery player, a shooter, whatever it is. As if when there is a kid for medical admission, there's a family discussion saying that TV timings will be so and so. This is not going to happen. As the kid is going to study, there's no room for him, so there should not be disturbance. This, that, everything. Are there meetings for kids who are playing sports saying that we need to change the diet, so this is going to be cooked in the house. He needs to sleep for so and so hours. So afternoon, I don't care. He needs to sleep. He needs to get his rest. So let's make him sleep. There should be no disturbance. There should be no TV. Whatever. Everything requires hardships and a team. The parents come in that team. Everything requires a mental support and a support system. It is but obvious at 11, 13-year-old boy, his best support system is his parents and the coach. It has to be a combined effect of everyone to make that opportunity and make that thing happen. So it's much easier with the rural parents, which I have experienced in so many years. I've been training athletes for the last 23 years now,
Mhm.
and it is much easier for a rural parent to convince that let your kid play and earn something, or rather they get attached to the pride so easily. माझा मुलगा गावासाठी खेळला, माझा मुलगा तालुक्यासाठी खेळला, my kid played for the city. It is much easier for them. The pride is very big for them, and the opportunities looking from a rural or a tribal area, the support of the parents is 100%, because education is the least thing they are bothered about.
Hmm.
They are
Yeah.
bothered about how the food is going to come on the table.
Yeah. So you also
Yeah.
talk how that pride element comes in, that my child played for the
Yes.
village, Gavasati Khela, and you were giving me a very interesting example of this girl who succeeded and the village had a procession. Tell us about that, because it's just such a sweet story, and that's how role models are, right? To slowly build up and become.
Exactly. And the pride factor which I'm telling you, it's not about the family. The whole village is proud about it. In the city areas, if somebody plays national, even the colony is not that proud about it. Sometimes they are not even aware of it. There was a story about in 2000, I think so, 17, 18. There was a girl. She is the current national champion of wrestling in 53 kgs. Her name is Nandini Saloke. She is also part of our system.
Mhm.
Now she's been adopted by JSWST. And about in 2017 and 2018, she became Hinda Kesari silver medalist
Mhm.
in the senior category. She stays in Burgud, which is about 50 kilometers from Kolhapur, in the interiors of Kolhapur. It's a very tiny village, which so everybody in the village basically had a procession on her. So she was on a horse, and तिला फेटा बांधला होता, and everybody was very proud of her. And there was a girl, 12 or 13 years old, and she said that her father was taking to her classes. She saw her photo, and she said that मला नंदिनी ताईसारखं व्हायचं. I want to become like नंदिनी ताई. माझा फोटो पण फ्लेक्सवर आला पाहिजे, माझा फोटो पण लागला पाहिजे. 2 years ago, we adopted her. The little one, that is, her name is Neha Chaugule. In 2021 January, played sub junior world championship at Budapest.
Wow. So she's even surpassed her role
Yes.
model. Wow, amazing.
Yes, there was nobody in her family who had gone out of Maharashtra also. They are very small farmers, but her father had that ability to just support what my kid is saying and just to believe in my kid. Fortunately, they have a very beautiful and a very nice practice area, or the talim, which has been called. They have a very dedicated coach called Dada Sopan Laute,
Mhm.
and he's a very young guy, 36 years, and dedicated to wrestling and these kids. And today there was at the same procession in that Burgud village. She was on a horse. Everything was there.
Wow.
And there might be a couple of girls more that they wanted to say ki मला आता नेहा ताई सारखं व्हायचं. There might be a couple of girls now. Ripple effect has started. Nandini mom, about till 3 years back, was a domestic servant and a farm laborer. She doesn't have a father. Her house is not more than 20 by 10. It was just amazing what her mother believed in her daughter. Even Neha's father believed in her. The best support system is the family. I have a story to tell you about this. There was a 13-year-old kid who was playing badminton, and his father was as hardworking as the kid,
Mhm.
because being an athlete's parent is the most difficult job.
Yeah.
Because if you're supporting the kid, you really need to be a mentor for that kid, not a parent. So you need to be more supportive, more open, more motivated than the kid. He was playing badminton, and he had a match, and a state level match, and he played beautifully. There was the kid in front also was 13 years. This was 13. He was 13 years, and they played like till they died. And this guy won. He shouted loudly that after winning. And the other kid obviously lost a very a match which he played. And he obviously he's 13-year kid and he started crying. It was but obvious. So after the prize and ceremony and everything, and after they went home, the father said that तू एवढा जोरात ओरडायला नको पाहिजे होता, तो रडायला लागला. The typical Maharashtrian family की दुसऱ्याला त्रास नाही झाला पाहिजे वगैरे. After that moment, that boy never won a single match. So after 1.5 year, the father said to the kid, "Should we stop playing?" So the kid said, "That's okay. We'll stop. As it is, you don't like me doing." It was a very shocking thing for his father, saying that a kid is saying that, "Okay, असंही तुम्हाला मी आवडत नाही जिंकलेलं." Being a parent of an athlete is the most difficult job in the world. So the kids are mentally so strong in the rural and tribal areas that they do not have this kind of support. Winning and losing is all up here for them. They figure it out what to do. They figure it out how can I win. Everything is done on their own. So they're a bit ahead of time sometimes when they play sport. Yes, because they do not have any support, they have to think by themselves. And there was a lot of success stories. There's one more success story of an archer called Snehal Mandre, who's not she was also a part of our system. So adopt is about a system. It's about a process. And we give that process and follow a system with athletes and they perform better. It's nothing. It's we called it a no compromise system where we give everything to it. So nutrition, mental training, physical training, coaching, equipment, medical support, insurance, nutritional health, equipment, tournament exposure, everything. So as well as and education, the most important. An athlete always requires services. He doesn't require money. Your electricity bills are paid. Your food has been put on the table. Your groceries are being brought to your house. You have clothes. You have shoes. You have everything. So you don't need money. So Adopt is not about this system.
Adopt not just supports athletes, but they are coaches as well. And a good coach will ensure good success.
So Adopt has a policy. The policy is that we always adopt a coach who fits in our system, who believes in that system where coach is not everything. An athlete requires a support system. So if a coach believes in system that if we work as a team, it is but obvious there is going to be success. We have identified about 3 sports right now. One is wrestling, one is middle distance running, and one is archery. We pay honorarium and stipend to the coach also. So now when we met this Dada Sopal Lavte, he is a fantastic person, very interesting person, dedicated his life to wrestling. He was from Solapur, but he got a nice job and side job in Solapur. And he shifted here. He was always been opposed by local people, local politicians. But he dedicatedly kept on working with the athletes. So it is one of the most, I would say, famous and most important girls' center in Maharashtra. Earlier, there were hardly 5, 6, 7, 8 athletes, girl athletes. Now there are about 50 girl athletes playing there. All rural parts of Maharashtra. They stay there. He has made sure that they stay in a safe hostel. About 20% of the athletes, girl athletes, have about Khelo India medals. So Khelo India was a huge initiative started by Modi government and on a national level. It is like national games for junior athletes. Unfortunately, with regards to now the Corona situation, pandemic situation, not been happening for the last 2 years. But the athletes from that center have won about at least 7 to 8 athletes are national medalists in Khelo India as well as on a national level also. If the coach sticks to only coaching and in managing the athlete, he just outsources these kinds of other responsibilities like fitness, nutrition, injury management, medicine, other things. Then the coach also has his own time to think about coaching. Yes, coach inputs are the most important inputs. If you consider Gopi Chand is there at 4 o'clock in the morning. He coaches the athletes once a week. There's a meeting of all the team members where he helps the team members to exactly know what I want from a particular athlete and gives the freedom for the team to work on. Responsible team members work on it, help the athlete bring that change. So team is very important. If the coach thinks I am the only one who can make a change, the athlete will not prosper.
So it's not, you're not just leaving all the responsibility on the coach, but it's the whole team around that athlete.
Yes, yes.
So another interesting thing, Darshan, was of how you talked about genetics and which sport is suitable. The most obvious example to any Maharashtrian is Kolhapur and wrestling.
About 4 to 5 years ago, I was in a small tribal area called Dabheri near Jawar Taluka, Thane district. Dabheri, or rather hamlet, is exactly on the Maharashtra and Gujarat border. So there's an ashram shala which was being adopted by the same company, Dorf Kettle Private Limited, and we were there to survey some things. So the evening play was done, everything, and about at 4:30, 5 o'clock, there was a lot of daylight remaining. So these kids just told me and one of my colleagues that let's have a walk in the jungle. We said, okay, let's go. And we went quite inside. And actually, it was very quiet jungle. It was beautiful. These kids asked me and my colleague to sit down very quietly, very calmly. And on the way, these kids have picked up some few stones in their hands. And before we could ask them, these three kids just threw stones in random directions on the tree. And there were about 5 birds who fell down, and that was our dinner.
Wow.
Yeah,
This is just with stones.
yeah, this is just with stones. And I couldn't hear also, or whatever sound the bird is making. I couldn't hear that. It was like, oh my God. I just couldn't believe it, what had just happened and what I saw. And today, if you go there, in that tribal area, about 5 kilometers radius, there is not a single bird which actually comes there.
Oh,
There
okay.
are no birds in that area because these kids drop them dead and eat. But if you consider these kids for shooting, archery, these guys can be an amazing athletes.
Hmm.
The other thing, I went to Alibag and Palghar a few days ago, and they have a tribal school in some area in Palghar. So we had gone visited there. There's a lot of grassland, a lot of jungles in that area, and whenever I saw these kids, I saw a very unique anatomy, rather I would say, long legs and short upper bodies, which is actually a perfect body for a good runner, a marathon runner or a middle distance runner.
Mhm.
So they had a beautiful anthropometry, and it was like awesome. And I just called them. I was talking to them. I played some games with them, and just after playing, and I just checked one of the girls' heart rate. So after she was playing kho and she was running for about 2 to 3 minutes continuously. Out of curiosity, I just checked her resting heart rate or the heart rate, and she was absolutely fantastic. She had a heart rate of 58 after running for 3 minutes.
And what would a normal person's
So
heart rate?
playing a kho game and running for 3 minutes, it should be somewhere around 85 to 100 or more than
Oh,
100. There were a few kids who were not playing, who were just standing next to me, and I just checked their heart rate. One of the kid had a heart rate of 48, a resting heart rate of 48. Means they had amazing cardiovascular systems running in their body. So they
mm,
can be amazing endurance players or amazing runners,
mm,
considering their anatomy, long legs, short upper bodies. They can be beautiful runners. Considering Kokon, we always say कोकणातली लोक खूप काटक असतात. They are very much endurance oriented. So they can perform better. So these kids are adopted, these kids are being identified, these kids are being nurtured.
mm,
So if we find or the right type of people who have a great potential and a great future for themselves and their families and for the nation, why
mm.
not help them out?
Yeah, yeah. And eventually, therefore, bringing more medals home.
Exactly, exactly. And we are just trying to connect them with pride, nothing more than that.
And anybody feels that pride, and emotion. Listen to any athlete and they want to wear the India jersey, or that just comes naturally. That ambition and that pride just comes naturally. So you just need to hone it in that direction.
Exactly.
When I introduce you, I didn't say that you are a personal trainer and a fitness coach. Is that the right title?
Yeah, I'm a strength and conditioning coach as well as fitness trainer. So, as to be very frank, whatever I am doing right now doesn't pay that kind of bills. That is why I do fitness training, and my clients are more recreational sports players who I help them. I have a couple of players who are golfers, a few are marathon runners, one is a nice trekker and a hiker, a very famous orthopedic surgeon. So I do fitness trainings now for fitness enthusiasts only, just not for sports or professional.
Again, I didn't say this in the introduction, that you've got a master's in this field from an Australian university. One, tell us a bit about the master's education, and how though that knowledge that you learned has helped you with adopt and your general your career.
So in 2007, I got an opportunity to go to Australia and do my master's in exercise physiology, and that actually changed my attitude towards fitness, my attitude towards feet of exercise and sport. Australia are excellent in sports right from the school level. They have amazing test batteries for kids in school. They have amazing stadiums which are free for school and national and state levels. I got an exposure about this system which I'm really working on. I was volunteering a lot of triathletes, swimmers in Australia because I did a lot of voluntary work. And I actually learned how to micromanage these athletes with regards to their psychology, training psychology, coaching psychology, and how the coaches talk to athletes, how the trainers talk to athletes, and how these athletes actually respond to those things. It's like raising a kid. You need to, sometimes it is very necessary to micromanage things. And sometimes it's necessary to make them independent. How do they do this without disturbing the athlete's mental state? Because sometimes it gets very edgy with getting into a personal life as an athlete. But that is also very important for mental training of an athlete. Mental training or mentoring is not exactly done with athletes. It is being done with coaches, parents, and trainers who are with the athlete all the time. So, how to talk to athletes? What kind of training exercises should we do? Because a mental trainer cannot be day in, day out with the athlete. It is not possible. If you are an international level, you are a top 10 athlete in the world, you have a lot of sponsors, then it is yes. So a mental trainer can travel with Federer or Nadal or Virat Kohli. It's much easier. But for national level athletes or these kind of athletes, it's very difficult because they can't afford that kind of thing. It is much easier to train the parents, coaches, trainers, or whoever
The people who are
is
there.
working with the athlete. Yes, 24/7 with the athlete, where the athlete believes in them. He believes in his parents, he believes in his coach. They are there to help, only and only help you. So if we are trained or we are being told to behave in a particular manner where the athlete is always being motivated or is in always a state of motivation, rather and taught the parents how to talk to athlete, how does the family respond, how does the coach respond, try to keep him in a different mental state altogether.
As a parent, as a coach, you don't necessarily know. A coach knows the skills of the sport, but he won't necessarily
Yes,
know how to and how to react. And like that example that you gave
yes.
of dad, him trying to be a good parent, perhaps not a good team player. You're right that even the people around that athlete need the training.
Yes, yes. Because athlete will never believe in a person who's just going to visit him once a week. Second thing which I learned in Australia is to make the athlete more and more self-oriented, self-centric, and selfish. If you are not selfish enough, you will never succeed. So the athlete actually needs to know what is good for me, what is bad for me, what I need to take, what I need not to take, what is very important for me. It has to be that selfish nature that I can do whatever it can to win or to succeed. Second thing is the parents are also taught to be selfish, or rather, the parents are taught how to make the kid selfish. The whole winning approach or the process to win has a lot of mental aspect attached to it. For example, if you see IAS, IPS officers in India, they come from UP, Delhi, Bihar. There's a culture like that in India. Why is that? Because they have a culture in their family. They have an approach right from the beginning, right from their childhood. ते जसं म्हणतो ना आपण ते त्यांच्या रक्तात असतं. It's in their blood. So it's not. It is something genetic. It is something a mental thing which has always been hammered, which has always been there in their head that you have to be so and so. And our house has that kind of culture. They are the most selfish people, if you see, but they are the most successful also. The most successful people in the world, they are selfish for themselves. They know exactly what to do and what is good for me. They don't bother about others, what others.
Maybe not selfish, but more self-centric. And when you say selfish, you don't mean the athlete sort of wishes bad upon other people, but he or she is just looking inwards towards their own skill, towards their own success.
Yes.
And the only thing that they have in their mind is them, their success, and their progress.
Exactly. He should not bother about what others will think about it. जसं आपण मराठीत म्हणतो की निर्लज्जम सदा सुखी. जर का तुम्हाला खूप सक्सेसफुल व्हायचं असेल तुम्हाला एकच गोष्ट सोडावी लागते ती म्हणजे लाज.
Very focused and
they're very focused and you need to know that. So what actually I learned in Australia with the education, that sports is all about how to work as a team, how to work smartly. So Australia was great for me actually.
Darshan, we are almost at the end, and thank you so much for having spent so much time with me. The very last question, since we have your skill of the personal training aspect, what sort of advice do you have for any common person who may not necessarily be a sports person, or even we are not recreational athletes, even few bits of advice just before you go, around fitness, around strength, around nutrition, around flexibility?
I have always said that fitness should be functional. The functionality of your life is everybody has a very different functionality. I'll explain you by examples. For example, an IT person sitting on a computer for about 8 to 10 hours. So his fitness can be that he should be sitting pain-free, no neck pain, no back pain, no knee pain. So that is his fitness. A person who works in a factory or who has a job, who has to move around on a bike or a marketing team. So his fitness should be, he should not get tired at the end of the day. A fitness for a housewife might be, I should be able to change a cylinder. I need to be able to pick up a bucket and bring from here to there. I should be able to lift a bed. I should be able to change sheets without pain. I should be able to bend down under the sofa and get my key, or I could able to bend down and just tie my shoelaces. Stand for 20 minutes without pain. So fitness can be functional. Fitness has to be functional. If you talk about overall fitness, then there are a lot of fitness factors which are responsible, like cardiovascular, strength, endurance, flexibility, body composition. Nowadays, everybody knows that flexibility is important, body composition is important. You should have less fat, more muscle. But I would still say that whatever normally for 5 days a week you do for your living, it should be pain-free and it should be progressive all the time. Considering nutrition, after every meal, you should say, wow, what a meal. Every meal should be satisfying. If that meal is making you fat or making you unhealthy, then you have to make sure that you need to compensate that in physical aspect or in physical part. But every meal should give you happiness. If you're not happy eating whatever you are eating, it is not a sustainable diet. There should be controls over what you're eating, but it should make you happy. Considering the fitness part, the more physical active you are, the better for you. Again, as I said, every meal should make you happy. And the last part, I would say that please focus also on the micronutrient levels, which are also very important, which are the vitamins, minerals, which nowadays are not being produced and manufactured in our body sometimes because of the corporate jobs because of not enough sunlight, not because of you cannot get vegetables which actually should be organic. You should always be checking your micronutrient levels, vitamin levels, and mineral levels, which also have a very important part and role in your muscle performance or overall human body performance. You should always check your B12, D3 levels, B12 levels, hemogram, or mineral levels like calcium, magnesium, zinc, iron, all these things. So it's also very important to do these tests and know what levels you are and take appropriate supplements if you are not getting it from your regular food. Supplements are not bad at all. If you are not getting something from your food that and you need it, you need to take it.
Mm.
So it might be in a synthetic form or it might be in a natural form.
Great.
Yeah.
The very last question is, Darshan, how can people support Adopt?
We are a very small NGO, but we have huge dreams. Right now, it's just friends and family who are supporting us. So there are a lot of processes which can be supported. For example, nutrition, education, coaching, training. You can adopt an athlete. You can adopt a system right from 1,000 rupees to whatever you can. Uh, Unfortunately, we do not have an FCRA, which is a foreign currency, where we can accept foreign currencies right now. But we have applied for it. You can help the athletes directly if you have some set of skills. You can do a lot of volunteering. If you are good in teaching, you can make them. If you are a if you're a technical person, you can help them with the technical aspect of education. If you're a nutritionist, you can help with the nutrition part. You can go to our website adoptsports.org and you can contact us and we can help you and we can guide you where you can help us and support us.
I'll also put a little description on the bottom of the interview on the description, and I'll put the website there. And I guess the best way to get in touch with you is through that website.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much for coming on, Darshan, and
Thank you.
spending time chatting about this interesting field.
See, it is like you are investing in a person, in a human being. So there are chances that it might not succeed, but we will make sure that when he comes out in the society, he is a person who can stand for himself and for his family. And he's going to bring pride to the family and to himself in whatever way. So sports is just a nucleus where we are trying to improve the lifestyles of tribal and rural kids and bring them pride to.